Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast, and we've got some play-up props here for a 3-game slate in the NBA on Thursday. We'll be taking a look at the play-up props in this one, but also got best bets in a separate episode. So make sure to subscribe to that page. Don't miss any of the stuff we're bringing you all season long. Decent night in the play-up props. Again, we're looking for a sweep here, though. I'm feeling pretty good about these props on a little slate. Some deep dives from Nate and myself. So let's jump right into your first play here for the night, Nate.
Yeah, I'm going to take Porzingis over 19.5 points, and I think you can sprinkle on 5.5 first quarter points. As a guy who comes out hot, especially when he gets a little extra rest, with 2+ days rest, he had his highest usage rate in that situation, 26.5%. He's played one game since December 4th, and it happened to be that last game before that was the Detroit Pistons, where he happened to score 26 points in 29 minutes. So clearly, pretty good matchup here against a team that struggles guarding the three-point line and actually allows the second most threes to centers, which is kind of a stat-dependent situation. But the point is, like, Jalen Duren is not getting out there on the perimeter too fast. And Porzingis, like I said, after the break, he likes to really come out. He likes to play to the crowd, right? He does that whole, like, wrestling hero thing. And at home, since he's joined Boston, he's shooting 43% versus 32% from three on the road, averages 22.5 at home, averages 23 when Jason Tatum sits, and his usage rate goes up to 27.5%. I told you I think Tatum is probably going to play, but I don't really think that affects this cap too much. It actually affects the rebounds more for Porzingis if Tatum were to go here. So I'll just take the points. And, as far as the first quarter stuff, like last year, he averaged 9.5 minutes, 7 points per game with a high usage rate in the first quarter. We only have 5 games this year, but like I said, after the break, when he came back against the Clippers, he had 35% usage in that first quarter. So he likes to come out hot, and the Celtics, like I said, basically been off for a week.
Yep. I like all this. I like Kristaps's points more with Tatum out there, to be honest with you. I like and we're trying to keep this on the down low, so everybody chill with making this too clear. But Tatum gets more rebounds when he plays with Kristaps Porzingis. We kind of found that little nugget last year during the playoffs when we were looking at floor minutes for Tatum with and without KP. Bit better of a rebounder with KP on the floor, and this is the type of matchup that I would be eyeing a guy like Tatum's boards versus a Jalen Duren-led team, where I think Kristaps is going to spend most of his time boxing out big old Jalen Duren and a little bit less time able to necessarily get the exact rebound. So this is another similar situation, but it still just makes me like the points even more for Staps in this one. But let me go to RJ Barrett and talk about why I like the assists a little bit more than the points. And I understand that RJ Barrett's killed the Heat off with points in his past, but he's also had a point guard. And he's a lot more of the point guard now than you'll probably see Davion Mitchell in there as the point guard by title, and that's about it. The only way that I would consider him the point guard in this one, to be honest. Like, I think he's a lot more of a swingman now once you put him out there with RJ and even Grady Dick, who's not a ball handler, but he is somebody who can at least score off of the dribble as well and might not need a true point guard in there. Like, it ain't gonna be Scotty. So for RJ, I'm a little bit more worried about the points of taking them. I'm not saying he can't do it. He's been on a tear. He's been great. Thing is, the Heat can key in on him if they want to. And that's what they do, is they key in on the primary ball handler. They don't just key in on the point guard, right? People like to look at the positions and say, oh, well, RJ's not a point guard, so he's a shooting guard. He'll do well against this team because they give up stuff to the shooting guards. No, there is no positions in the NBA. They give stuff up to is the spot-up shooter and the guy waiting in the corner for a pass from someone who's driving to the lane. That's what I expect RJ to be doing the majority of the time. So I like him for the 5.5 assists for that. If you pull him up and look at his minutes on floor with guys without IQ and Scotty Barnes, in the minutes that he's playing with guys like Pirtle, Davion Mitchell, Ochai, Grady Dick, and a few other guys that you can intersperse like Jacoby Walter. When he's playing with those guys, his rebounds and assists are the thing that I really notice go up a ton. He's still scoring 27 per 36. I don't want to take that away from him. He's going to play 36 minutes in this game for sure. So you can probably bank on him playing closer to 40 if this is at all close. But I would just keep in mind that, like, they're going to key in on him, and he doesn't have anybody that they have to worry about. We mentioned it when we were sort of backdoor complimenting Ochai Agbaji by saying, yeah, he's going to score because they're not going to be worried about him. So that's why he's going to score, because he's not that good. So he's going to be open, right? Which is still a compliment, but whatever. Point is like for RJ, I see him as the guy passing that ball to him a lot more. The potential assists in the games without both IQ and Scotty Barnes, I'm going to give him a pass on the first two that he came back and played fewer minutes. And I'm going to take all of the other games and say that he has averaged about 13 potential assists in those games. So as we've been, anybody who's been taking other guys' assists with RJ out there, thinking RJ is going to be the pure scorer, this is the guy to target for the dimes and even the boards, to be honest with you. But I like the dimes better against this Heat squad.
Yeah, it makes sense because I was going to think about under 6.5 assists for Davion as somebody who doesn't necessarily facilitate against Miami. And that's been bet down to 5.5. People, jumped on that being like, no, it's something he's done 5 times all season. Whether Barnes is in there or not, like he's not a likely 7+ assist type guy because the ball's going to be in RJ's hands more often. So I will take DeJounte Murray over 7 assists and, I think you put half the unit on 13.5 rebounds assists in case he goes 7-7 or something like that. But, it's something I talked about when he faced the Hawks. He's just elite with these peripheral stats, just such a good rebounding guard. And the assist rate is really going up because what we talked about with the Pels, their lineup when they don't have BI, it's a lot of spot up shooters around these guys. And DeJounte driving a ton, 17.5 drives since Ingram went down 2 games ago. 51% pass rate on those and only 8.6% assists. So that just screams regression in a small sample. For context, like Ingram had a 40% assist rate on his 5 drives against OKC before he went down.
Yeah.
And in general, I mean, we're talking 13 potential assists per game for DeJounte, getting the 8 we need in those last 2. Those were against OKC, 4th in assists allowed, and Spurs, 6th in assist to field goal ratio allowed. The Hawks are second to last in assist to field goal ratio on the road and second to last, regardless where they're playing, in 3-point defense. You're dead last in spot up shooting, right? So, I mean, it's going to be easy for DeJounte to get in the lane and kick it, and then it's just down to these guys whether they're going to hit threes or not. I think the Pels are well positioned to keep pace in this game by hitting some threes. This game should be played with more pace, maybe like a one-on-one pace. More rebound chances for sure. I mean, he is second on the team, though, in rebound chances, next to only your boy Yves Messi. And, in his last 4 against Sac, averaged 7.5 boards with the Hawks in different situation where there was some really good rebounders on that team. And right now he's the second guy who comes in there and tries to clear it and get it and go.
Dude, incredible pronunciation of Yves Messi. It's not Yves Missy, it's Yves Messi. So that was beautiful. Love that look from you. He is my boy. I don't know if I made that super clear, but you called him my boy, and he is. I absolutely love Yves Messi. So you're right about that. Worried about his numbers in this game, but I like that where your head's at for DJ Murray. Because I like Brandon Boston in this game. And I do like Trey Murphy. His prop's a little bit high, but I do think he's going to be super involved. I'll probably end up betting him at 18.5 points, and before that can even get bumped up, to be honest. But I think Brandon Boston, even at 10.5 points, I think his number is really, really good. I want to look at spot up shooting versus the Kings. That's why we're talking about Trey Murphy, Brandon Boston Jr. And Brandon Boston Jr. is going to be much more off the ball. I would also probably consider rebounds or assists for him as well, because if he's playing with whatever can be considered the second unit at this point for this team, right? I mean, Javonte Green might not even be playing in this game. And if Javonte Green's not in, I really like Brandon Boston even more, because that is a dude that I see taking like 4-ish shots that would be going to Brandon Boston if he's out there. But there's really not much else in the way of corner 3 shooters for this team. And Brandon Boston will be playing a little bit further down because he will be out there with at least one of DJ Murray and CJ McCollum. So we'll have to see if he's actually able to get the touches. I don't love the fact that like when he's out there with them, obviously his usage drops dramatically. But this is a team that you do find spot up shooters for, and we know that CJ and DJ are going to be on ball more than they are off ball, and they will have some staggered minutes. So you will see Brandon Boston out there with just one of them as pretty much the secondary playmaker and third option if Trey Murphy or Herb Jones are still out there as well. But really, I would say he's creeping up into the Herb Jones level of usage when he's playing out there as well without BI, Zion, and Hawkins, and Alvarado, and et cetera, et cetera. So, I think he's going to be a good look out there. He's going to be playing a little bit more alongside Yves Messi than he has been as well, which is helpful. Yves Missi, once he was inserted into the starting lineup, finally getting about 32 minutes. That's helpful for guys like Brandon Boston. When we saw Daniel Tice out there, it was so clunky, and it sounds really weird and specific, but Brandon Boston is so much better on the floor with Yves Missi than he is with Daniel Tice, who's standing in the spots that Brandon Boston was occupying quite often because he's a soft center. So yeah, I'm going to take him at 10.5 points. It's a low number. I understand that the fear here is that the usage won't be that high for him, but I disagree. I think 28 minutes is what we're looking at for him. They saw that in the last game without BI, that they had to play him more minutes. He shot well, but their offense without him on the floor was just even more stagnant because there's not that many shooters on this team right now.
Yeah, I mean, 5 straight, including games where he played less than 20 minutes. So It's not like you're depending on an elevated role. Guy comes off the bench with a clear goal in mind, and I mean, he's been that kind of bucket getter since he was in high school. And yeah, Sacramento perennially awful against shooting guards. So if it's not CJ out there, it'll be BB out there trying to get buckets.
Let's go, BB. All right, that's all the time we have for you in Playa Props. Go ahead and make sure to subscribe to that page. Check out the best bets that we have alongside these Playa Props. Got some sides and totals for these games as well. Plus, I threw out a few extra player props with some quick hitters for you if you're interested. So take a look at that one. We'll be back here with everything you need for Friday as well in the NBA and NFL. We're going to have some Playa Props up for this Sunday's slate of games. So make sure to check all that stuff out. And until we see you next, happy betting.